Alright guys, so today I'm off of work. I got some errands to run. I actually end up having to go into work for my errands. I stop and get some gas for the bike. That way when it's done and good to ride, I won't have to worry about making it down to the gas station to get fuel. Thought I would tape a little bit while I'm out here driving. Change the camera angle on the lens for my GoPro. Trying out the wide shot. Thought I'd see how that looks compared to the other one. Stepped up to 1080p. It's a little windy. I actually haven't received a power bill, so I've got to go in and to work and talk to somebody about finding out why I haven't received a power bill. I don't want to go to Leave Italy and then be like, oh, you owe us 20 grand for electric, or cut my power off. So I know I didn't really introduce myself in the first video that I posted. That was pretty much kind of a trial video that I posted there. It'll be my first video I posted on YouTube, first one I put together. That one didn't have any editing whatsoever. I straight shot it and uploaded it. So this one is going to have a little bit of editing, edit out some of the times that I'm not talking, just some of the things that aren't necessary to be in a video. Yeah, my name's Kyle. Currently living in Italy. I'll be here a year and a half, 2 years total. Got here just over 6 months ago. So I thought I would get into the moto vlogging community while I was here. Start showing off what it's like to be living in Italy. Unfortunately, when my motorcycle got shipped over here, the brakes won't light up. I've ordered a new relay. I know in the first video I couldn't remember what the hell it was called, but yeah, I ordered a new relay that was making an abnormal clicking sound. Talked to some friends, they all said that it's supposed to click, but it was abnormal clicking, so ordered a new one of those. Posted on some forums, asked around what people think it might be. One guy actually suggested that maybe instead of the brake lights aren't lighting up, maybe they're stuck on from a switch at the actual brakes. So I thought that was a good idea to check into. That'll be my next thing. Once this relay comes in, it should be here hopefully within the week. That'd be nice to get that done, not have to worry about that anymore, and be able to get it on the road. Today actually I just programmed my Power Commander 3. I got all the maps set up on it since I installed a new exhaust and K&N intake. The website actually didn't have the exhaust that I have on my bike. I think it's because it had all the main brands. The one that I ordered was a newer company. I know they said it was a couple of guys working out of their own shop and everything, making their own exhausts. I've got a 2008 Yamaha YZF R6S, and the problem is everybody makes parts for the R6 but not the R6S. So when I was shopping around for my exhaust, yeah, they make parts for it, but they all make exhausts that fit like the stock exhaust, where it's the full all the way back through the next to the undertail. I didn't want a full exhaust on there. I wanted to put a short pipe on there, and this company Orion was actually one of the only companies I've found to make a short exhaust for my bike. I mean, I know a lot of people say you can just buy a short pipe and fit it to your bike, but at the time I was just looking for something that would straight connect to my bike. So I found this company Orion. I'm really happy with it. The sound turned out amazing. You know, a lot of times you'll order an exhaust and you try to look up videos of what the exhaust sounds like. I did that with the Z that I'm driving right now. I did some research looking for different exhausts, and I looked at a Pexi, because that's my that's one of the big companies that I've always known about people using, and I didn't care for it. It sounded really high-pitched, kind of the ricer sound, and I wasn't going for that. I wanted something with a more low-tone grumble for my car. So I also looked into the Greddy Evolution RS, and I really love the sounds of it. It should be shipped here soon. I ordered the exhaust and the catbacks, high-flow catbacks from Kinetics. I ordered all that stuff from Z1 Motorsports. They're located down in Jacksonville. I know they do tuning and they ship parts and they make their own products and everything. I was gonna go with the Z1 catbacks, but they were out of stock. Said that it was gonna be a while for them to make new ones. So I said, that's all right. Just send me the Kinetics. I've got a Kinetics Plenum put on, so I figured, well, at least it's a couple parts from the same company. The Plenum turned out pretty good. It's a lightweight. I definitely heard and felt a difference in power. It's not going to be a huge difference. I mean, you're going to get the little bits of power here and there from the parts you can just bolt on, as to be expected. But it did increase my my power output. I don't know exactly how much it's pushing out. There aren't any dynos or anything around here to actually test where my power is sitting at. So I know stock the car comes with just under 300 horsepower, and I put on a, what was it? Not a Pepsi, InGen intake, and then I've got the Kinetics Plenum put on. I ordered a strut bar for across the motor, but with the new Plenum, it actually would not fit. The strut bar was square as opposed to the stock bar, which is an oval shape. So when I tried to put it on, like I put the Plenum on, tried to put the aftermarket strut bar across, and it would not go on because it set up higher on the motor, because there's a specific divot in the Plenum for the strut bar, and it said, well, it wasn't going to work because it set up too high in groove. So I wrote into Z1 and told them, hey, just to let you guys know, these two products don't work together, because I ordered these and it won't line up, and you can't get it to seat in that nook. And so they said, oh, well, we're sorry about that. We appreciate you bringing it to our attention. We will make sure and put a note on our website so that other users that buy these products won't have the same issues. If there's no damage to the strut bar, here's a form, fill it out, put it in there, send it back to us, and we'll give you a full refund. So I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't really plan on sending it back. I just kind of said, well, it happened. I mean, no big deal, whatever. And I just wanted to let them know, that way they can put a note out for other consumers that they didn't work together. So it was cool of them to just say, hey, well, we didn't know that it didn't work. We're sorry. We'll give you a refund. So I like their company. They have everything Z related. I mean, 300ZX, 350s, 370Zs, anything Z related, they have parts for it. And like I said, they make their own, and they also ship other people's parts. So like the Kinetics, that's the only reason I don't have my exhaust yet, is because they actually had to wait for Kinetics to send them the catbacks so that they can ship everything all together. So it sucks. I basically have to wait a month for the parts to get here with shipping and everything, because it takes so much longer to get parts in Italy from the States. But it's okay. I'll wait for them. I'll just be happy to be able to put an exhaust on this thing. A lot of my friends here, they all have pretty nice cars. We've got some WRXs, and one guy's got a Hellcat Challenger, and what else do we have? An Evo. There's quite a few cars around here that I was actually impressed with, some of the nice cars that we've got here. And so we go out and we'll cruise around on weekends and stuff, go to car meets, and they all have aftermarket exhaust other than the Hellcat. I mean, the Hellcat comes stock with an amazing exhaust. Everybody loves to hear that car. The Italians love when we show up to their car shows, because there isn't a huge variety for them here. A lot of their cars here are like the Fiat 500s, and it's an affordable car for them, so they kind of all buy the same car, and then they do their own little modifications. They're really big into audio rather than performance, mainly because it's a Fiat 500. There's really not a lot to make it faster unless you put like a whole new motor in there. So they will have systems in there that are ridiculously loud, but it's not anything special for power wise. So we pull up and we bring a variety of vehicles, and they just love swarming to our vehicles and seeing what we have done to them. And we've got a few places that we go to regularly, so whenever we're putting new parts on, they notice. They're pretty attentive to what we've done to our vehicles and what we've upgraded. So I always look forward to that, upgrading parts and kind of just showing the Italians different things that we do to the cars. As soon as the bike's good to be on the street, I'm gonna ride that out there. Give you guys some videos of going to some of the Italian car shows on a bike and seeing kind of how they react to that. I haven't really seen a whole lot of bikes over here. See a lot of the Ferraris and Lambos and things like that just driving around the streets, but as for like the car shows, you see a few of the Supermoto styles and some of the touring style like BMWs, things like that. I've seen a few Gixxers and Yamahas, but I haven't seen them at any car shows. They've just been out riding around. And this is the beginning of their season. This is still like cold to them. They're still wearing long sleeves and pants and jackets, things like that. And to a lot of Americans, this is really comfortable. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt right now, and I love this weather. Coming from Georgia, where right now it's probably humid as hell down there, and I'm originally from Michigan, so I grew up in the cold, moved down to somewhere that was super humid for the last 4 years, and then now I came over here to Italy to live for 2 years. I've only been here 6 months, so it's pretty much been through the winter. There wasn't any snow this year. Well, there's a little bit of snow, but nothing that stuck. A lot of rain though. But I talked to a lot of people that have been here longer than me, and they said, you know, last year was a blizzard. They had so much snow last year, and it was not funny. So it'll be interesting to see how next year goes. I kind of got acclimated to the warmth after being in the South for 4 years. So not really looking forward to being back living in snow. That's why I moved away from Michigan. But my family's still there, so I'd love to go back. I love visiting in the winter to go see the snow for about 2 weeks. And, all right, cool, I saw it. Time to leave. I don't want to deal with it anymore. But so yeah, when I get the parts for the bike, I'm gonna put those on, and hopefully that'll be straightened out. I'm not a fan of wiring. I absolutely hate wiring. I like mechanical stuff. Like I said, I'll put parts into the motor all day long, but I don't want to get into the wiring issues. But if I have to, I will. Worst case scenario, there's a Kawasaki dealership around here that I could take my bike to, but I would have to ride it over there. I don't have a way to transport it myself, and that's just worst case scenario. I'm taking it to them. So I don't know. We'll see how it turns out once this relay comes in, and then if I have to, I'll try to check the wiring myself, but it's just not something I enjoy doing, I should say. I deal with it. I've helped other people. My other buddy Kyle that I work with, he's got a Jeep SRT 8, and he's put new taillights in it and ran way to run the wiring for an entire head unit, because the way it's set up is all the wiring for the head unit runs through the vehicle to the back to the amp. So we literally had to run wiring from the back of the truck to the front, and it was just such a pain in the ass, but I finally got it figured out, and we ran it through there, and it worked for about a day. The next day it messed up, and he decided to take it to some guy that said he knew how to do audio, but I don't think that panned out too well. He ended up just putting the stock head unit back in, I believe. I really hate doing wiring, but if it's possible for me to solve the issues with my bike on my own, I will. I like to do a lot of the work myself. I'm not a huge fan of paying for things to be done to my vehicles. I like to do it myself unless it's something that is utterly out of my grasp. And then, even then, I'll try to find somebody that can help me do it, that has the know-how. I like the saying, built, not bought. I mean, I know a lot of people kind of use that, and they've got it on their cars, things like that, but I really enjoy that. I mean, I like it. It kind of stands out and says, you know, you don't just throw money at it to have somebody else do it. You took the time to invest your time into your vehicles, love your cars or bikes, whatever you ride or drive, and just kind of put the love into it yourself and say, look, this is my vehicle, I'm going to take care of it the best I can. Like I said, you can't always do that. Sometimes you have to break down and say, hey, I got to take it to a shop and see if they can fix it. Sometimes things are just out of your grasp, out of your know-how. But I don't know. I prefer to just work on things myself. That's part of why my wife and I got married, because we're super into cars together and bikes and things like that. Like, she loves to ride. I'd actually like to get her on her own bike. We've talked about it that she wants to get her own. I worry because she's like 5'2", a little Asian woman. Jesus, bud, stay in your lane. So if we got her something, like, it would definitely have to be lowered for sure. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, cars is one of the big things that brought my wife and I together when we met. Found out that we both really loved cars. When she was growing up, she bought a bunch of different cars, turned them into race cars and street raced them when she was living in Chicago. I've owned a bunch of random vehicles over the years. Usually I would buy them, fix them up, drive them around a little bit, and then end up selling them. By the time I got done working on them, I was usually tired of having the vehicle. So, because I never really bought anything worth keeping. It was always little project cars to learn on, pretty much. So once I bought a vehicle that was actually worth it, like my Z and my pickup truck, I put work into it, and I don't get tired of it, because I'm not doing something so major to it because it's a project that I get tired of the car before I ever even get to drive it. And I had a couple of 95 Eclipses, an 88 Integra, an old Accord for parts. Actually, my first Eclipse, I broke the timing belt, and as many people know, you break a timing belt on one of them, and that means bent valves. So it's easier just to not deal with those. And I mean, some people fix them, change them out, whatever. I was actually going to scrap the car. My dad convinced me to hold on to it for a little bit, which I'm glad he did, because the next summer, because I broke it the beginning of winter, the next summer I was working in Ann Arbor. It was about a 45-minute drive from where I lived, and as I was going up there one day, I noticed that there was another 95 Eclipse for sale in somebody's yard. And so I stopped and asked, and they said, oh, well, it's my son's car. He said he took off from a red light and it just stopped driving. I don't know if it's clutch or what. And I was like, well, that's kind of fishy, but it's not really a clutch issue, because you can still drive if the clutch went out. But I ended up buying it. I don't remember how much I bought it for. And so I brought it back to my house, well, actually my farm. And we've got a big garage out there, so brought it out there, and I just pulled the trans off, and come to find out there was 2 softball sized holes in the transmission, one on the top, one on the bottom. It I'm assuming he like pulled out from a light and was really getting on it, or on his phone, not paying attention to RPMs, whatever he was doing. Blew the trans up for sure. So we just did a full trans swap. Myself, my grandfather, and one of my buddies. And then after the trans swap was done, I had it a couple months and said, well, I'm done with this. After all that work, it just didn't seem worth it to keep the car. It seemed like other things kept wanting to go wrong with it. So I said, screw it. I sold it. Didn't want to deal with it anymore. And then I had a 2004 Silverado. That was actually my first vehicle. My grandparents bought it for me. They said since I was going to start driving, they wanted to make sure I was in something safe and reliable. So they bought me my first vehicle, brand new Silverado. It was a 2-door short bed with a sport package on it. Had black pinstripes down the side. It was a nice little truck. I kept it for 10 years until I sold that and bought a 2014 Silverado, which I loved. It was a beautiful truck. First brand new vehicle I've ever purchased. Like I said, I've bought a bunch of random vehicles over the years. Nothing was ever new. It was always used. And so I had bought that truck, and about a year later, maybe a year and a half, close. My wife was actually driving from Georgia to Michigan, and a semi forced her into a concrete barrier in the center of the highway, and it scraped out on the left side and deployed side airbags on the sides. And so the insurance just said, well, we're just going to total it. It's not worth keeping once the airbags deploy. So I was really upset. I was more worried about her to make sure she was okay. Obviously, that's my first thought was are you okay? You need to go to the hospital. Of course, she never listens to me. She didn't go to the hospital. Then she was sore afterwards and wished she had, which I just told her I told you so. But yeah, now I look back at it, I see pictures of it, and I'm like, man, I really miss that truck. It was a beautiful truck. Something I plan on keeping probably even longer than my first truck. But shit happens. That's life. Things happen. They're out of control. You can't do anything about it. You can't dwell on it. You can't change anything because of it. So sometimes you just gotta let shit go. That's usually what I do with things that I can't control. It's just, there's no point in worrying about shit you can't control. So, but I graduated high school, and it was funny how it went down when I got my first bike. Actually, my only bike so far, street bike. I take that back. I did have a Gixxer as well. So my first bike, I had just graduated high school. My birthday was right after graduation. The weekend before, my mom and I were driving back from Kalamazoo, Michigan, to our hometown, and we passed this, I think it was about a 1980s Camaro. Nice, real nice. Reminded her a lot of the one that she had back when she was younger. It was her first car, was a 1980s Camaro. And so we stopped, looked at it. It was pretty nice. Needed some work. None of the gauges worked or anything like that, but it ran strong. The guy was asking $3,000 for it. Real cheap for what it was. And so I tried to convince my mom that we should have just bought it right then. She disagreed. She said, well, we need to talk to your dad first. I agreed with that. So the next weekend, we were leaving to go to dinner for my birthday dinner. And I asked my parents, I said, well, have you guys talked to that guy at all? Because we got his phone number to contact him later on in case my dad said okay with it. And so I asked my parents if they had thought about it anymore, about buying that car. And mom was driving, she looks at my dad and says, do you want to tell him or do you want me to? And so I was like, tell me what? What the hell are you guys talking about? So they started laughing, and my dad, what are you doing, man? All right, cool. Good story, bro. So they start laughing. My dad looks back at me and he says, well, you have a choice. Would you rather go over there and buy that Camaro, or would you rather stop at the dealership here in Jackson and pick up a brand new street bike? And I was like, is that a real question? Of course I want to go with the bike. I've been looking at these things for the last 4 or 5 years, all the way. Brand new, won't have to deal with any issues of fixing it, getting tired of it, whatever. So we went and bought my first street bike that day, which, let me tell you, that was an experience in itself, because I had never purchased a vehicle from a dealership before, so I didn't know dealership tactics, anything like that. Everything I'd always bought was from a private seller. So when we went to the dealership, my dad was in there while my mom was trying to get insurance all worked out for it, because we walked in the dealership and one of the dealers walked up and was like, hey, can I help you find anything? And I said, I want this bike right here. And pointed right to my 2008 Yamaha R6S. And the dealer was like, oh, well, we have a lot of different options. There's the Raven Edition and the red, and there's different style bikes. And I said, no, you don't understand. I've been looking at these bikes for years. I already know what the hell I want. I want this bike right here. And the dealer said, oh, okay, great, cool. You got it all figured out. And she was like, well, let's get started on paperwork. I said, I agree. So we went into the office and we started doing paperwork. And like I said, my dad was in there with me while my mom was getting all the insurance stuff sorted out. And she asked my dad to step out to help her with insurance stuff for a second. And in those, like, it was literally maybe a minute that my dad was out of the room. The dealer hands me 3 pieces of paper and says, "Oh, sign these." Young, dumb, not really paying attention to what the hell I'm doing. I sign off on these 3 sheets of paper, didn't read them. And they fucked me. They got me for 12.5% interest on an $8,300 bike. So, yeah. I was not happy when I later on found that out. My parents were not happy. We no longer have anything to do with that dealership. Super shady. Like, don't screw people over like that, especially somebody like right out of high school, literally just graduated. They knew the story, what was going on, and they played me like a fool because I was young and dumb, didn't know what the hell I was doing. So after that, I've been a lot more cautious with my purchases. I don't just run out and buy anything. I definitely research my stuff, and I've learned tactics of dealing with dealerships now. I've got friends that have worked at dealerships, and I've just learned the whole game. I know how to deal with them more. And so we basically got that bike paid off as fast as possible so that we didn't have to deal with the interest. I'm pretty sure it was interest free for the first year, and then it skyrocketed. Maybe not. All I know is we paid about $8,500 total because we paid it off so fast because we didn't want to deal with it. Which, it was awesome because doing that, it built my credit up immediately. You know, right out of high school, most people don't have any credit, or if they do, it's usually bad. They usually get a credit card and go and buy stupid stuff, and then they screw themselves real early in life. Especially since, you know, high schools don't really teach like common sense stuff like your taxes and credit cards and stuff like that. So if people have credit out of high school, it's usually bad. Well, I got lucky because doing that built my credit up really fast. And so when it came down to purchasing my new truck, they're like, "Oh, you actually got really good credit for somebody your age." And I said, "I know, I don't have any credit cards. I bought the bike." I said, "Well, it's good credit, but it's not a lot of credit, so you might want to consider buying a credit or getting a credit card." And I've heard that. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, we should get a credit card, you know, emergency purposes, or, you know, to build your credit and everything." Honestly, I've always just looked at it as, if I didn't have the cash, I didn't need it. Slow Italian drivers. So that's what I did. I lived my life like that. If I don't have the cash, I don't need it. Even today, I don't have a credit card. I don't need one. If I can't afford to buy parts for my vehicles or gear or just random crap, I don't need it. Plain and simple to me. Some people disagree with that, which everybody has their own prerogative. Like, you're gonna say what you're gonna say. You're gonna do what you want to do. I hold nothing against anyone for how they live their life. If you want to judge me for how I live mine, so be it. I don't really care. Again, if it's something I can't control, I don't care. I brush it off. It's not any sweat off of my back. But, so, yeah, that's how I got my first bike. Kept it stock for a long time. I really didn't do anything to it for years. And then I put a new exhaust on it, put the Orion on there, and then put flush mount turn signals in the front. I've got an Undertale that my wife's sending me from the States. I'm gonna put that on. I've got the Power Commander. This is actually the second Power Commander I've had. The first one, I was at my cousin's house in Florida, and one of the guys that was living with him had a German Shepherd. Beautiful dog, real friendly dog. His name was Charlie. And we went out to dinner, and I had been showing my cousin my Power Commander. My bag was laying on the floor. When we got home, the German Shepherd had been chewing on the corner of my Power Commander. Apparently he had separation anxiety or something along those lines, because he was not happy that we left for a couple hours and left him there alone. So, chewed on the corner, destroyed the Power Commander. There was no way in hell it was going to be usable. Chewed through the circuit board and everything. So my cousin said that he would buy a new one. I ended up just buying my own. It's whatever. It was my fault for leaving it on the floor, even though it was his roommate's dog that chewed it. I don't care. But, so I've got my new one there. I actually just mapped it today. I'm putting it in. I already had it ran in there before. Like, way. I ran the wiring, but then I saw that it'd probably be easier to try to map it with it not being in the car. So that's what I did. I pulled it back out. It doesn't take long to pull it out. Pulled it out, mapped it, and I'm gonna put it back in today. So I'll have that put in today. Hopefully my Undertale will get here soon. And that relay, and I'm really hoping this relay fixes it because I'm so ready to ride. I want to start doing videos on my motorcycle. That's the whole purpose of my channel here, is I want to do moto vlogging, and I can do it now from my car. It's just not the same. Anybody who rides knows, even if you have a fast car, it's just not the same as riding a bike. I've been riding dirt bikes since I was little. My grandparents bought me a little, I don't want to call it a scooter or a moped, but it was a little kind of a dirt bike type scooter when I was real young. And then they also bought me a dirt bike, and I bought a couple of dirt bikes throughout the years, and I bought a Gixxer that was a stunt bike, and quickly turned around and sold that. But riding bikes for a long time. I've still got a dirt bike back in Michigan. I miss riding dirt bikes, honestly. I wasn't a huge motocross rider. I prefer freestyle riding. I was never big into like watching races or racing myself. I prefer freestyle riding. I like to hit jumps and things like that. But I was never like really big into it. Like I didn't hit big jumps or anything like that. I was just, it was for fun. It was a hobby. It was a weekend thing. I wasn't trying to make a living out of it, so I didn't get amazing at it. It was just something I went out and did for fun. But so that's, I mean, I love my Z. I'm glad I bought this thing. It's been a ton of fun. Great car to be able to work on while I'm still driving it. I haven't done anything major like where I have to pull the motor to replace a part, anything like that. Anything that's going to take my car out of commission, I haven't done yet, just because it is my current primary mode of transportation, because the bike isn't ready to be on the road yet. I don't even have plates and insurance on it here yet, just because I didn't see the point in paying for registration and for insurance on a vehicle that I can't even ride right now. So as soon as I get the bike good to go, I might decide to put some more parts into the car that it may go down for a couple of days because I have to take time to put it in. But for now, I'm going to do my videos from the car just because that's what I can do them from. I don't think I got the video that I tried to take earlier. My GoPro messed up on me. I was at work, and a couple of the guys that have nice cars were actually there. The Hellcat was there. The Supra was there. The guy's got, I think it's a 98 Supra. Of course, the Mark IV, everybody loves that. He actually has two. He's got one here, and then he's got one back in the States. There's rumor that he's going to sell it when he goes back. But I already have this, and I've got my bike. I really don't need to buy any more toys right now. I would love it. I would love to buy the Supra. I've always wanted one. It's like that, and Skylines are dreams of mine. Once my truck got totaled, I started looking at the R35s for sale over here in Europe, because I figured it'd be cheaper over here. And it is. I found some that were like 40K, but the problem is they're all Euro spec. So I can't buy them and take them back to the States with me. And there's no point in buying a $40,000 R35 if I can't take it with me. So I don't know. I'm just gonna stick with the Z and the bike. I'm just really antsy to get this friggin' bike done. I've been watching moto vlogs for days now. I mean, I started watching Walterific and Do It With Dan, Suburban Delinquent, all those guys. You know, I've just been really getting into it. I'm pretty much, it's kind of like when you find a good TV show on Netflix, you start watching from the very first episode, and you watch every episode. That's what I've been doing with the moto vlog community. Is I'm just going person to person and watching all their videos from the very beginning to where they're at today. I finished all of Walterifics. I'm getting through all of Do It With Dan. they really, Do It With Dan really inspired me the most to actually get into doing moto vlogs. I loved watching Ultrafix. Like, I think he's a great person. He's always like helping people out and making people smile, things like that. Like, I love that. Like, he spreads joy to people's lives just by being himself. And so, like, I love watching these videos for that reason. But Do It With Dan, like, I think I probably related to him a little bit more just because he lives in Georgia and that's where I used to live and everything. So, like, he will talk about going to certain places, doing certain things, and I'm like, hey, I lived there and I used to go to that place or whatever. Like, he talks about going to Jacksonville, and me and my wife, we would go down to Jacksonville all the time. So, my wife and I, let me correct that for any grammar freaks out there. But in Savannah, places like that, like he talks about East Coast Georgia all the time, and then Florida. So when I watch those, I'm like, hey, it's kind of a taste of home. Spent 4 years there, so it's cool to see, cool to relate to. I know there's a lot of guys. I think Chase on Two Wheels is up there by like Atlanta and everything. So I love watching those videos where it's just stuff in the States where I can like recognize things. I don't remember who it was, but there was one vlogger that I know was up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and when I saw that, it kind of geeked me out because I was like, oh shit, I grew up there pretty much. Like, we used to party up there, and I worked up there a couple times. I almost moved there, honestly, and I'm glad I didn't, but that's a different story. So I love watching the moto vlogs, and it seems like such a great community to be a part of. That's what everybody says that does it. It's just like, oh, it's such a great community to be a part of and all this stuff. That's what I want to do. I want to be a part of this awesome community. So starting with my car, and then I'll start vlogging from the bike as soon as it's done. Like, I'll probably go out for a single ride before I start vlogging, just so I can get a feel for riding in Italy, because how they drive here is nothing at all what it's like to drive in America. I mean, they have 2 speeds here, and we kind of started making a joke about it because they're either driving like it's Sunday every day, like super slow, not in a rush to get anywhere, or they all drive like they have to take a shit, super aggressive. There's no in between. There's no like, oh hey, this is just normal driving. There's slow or aggressive, and it's just been kind of funny. But all right, I'm gonna go in and pay a bill. All right. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Super excited to get the bike running. It's been so long. Been almost 7 months since I rode. Some of that was just how long it took for the bike to get over here. Now I'm working on it. I was kind of unhappy with the fact that it worked before it left Georgia and didn't work when it got here. So clearly something in shipping messed it up. Just hoping it's this relay. But I don't know. I figured I would just start doing this stuff now, and then I could talk about some of the different things that's going on in Italy, like just maybe not really things, but just how life is over here. You know, the way the Italians are compared to how we are, like everything is just totally different. Like that right there, like, oh, he's just gonna stop in the middle of the road. Like, they don't give you really any warning. It's happening now. Like I said, they're either super aggressive or they're not. Bright orange convertible 370Z. They had a 350Z over there before, convertible. Now it's a 370. I don't know. I love being over here. It's a cool thing to check out. You know, living in foreign countries is always interesting to see, experience all the new, like, just how their culture is and everything. And there's so many things like totally different you wouldn't even think about in the States, like paying bills. You can't just like go online and pay your bills like most Americans do, or go into the company or whatever it is, like however you're gonna pay your bills in the States. You, as an American here, like you have to go into a tobacco shop and pay your bills. Like, and it's weird to think about. Like, when you first hear it, you're like, oh, I have to go to a tobacco shop? Like, that's weird. But that's how it is. Like, they pay through going to this tobacco shop, hand your bill, they scan it, and then the tobacco shop pays the bill. And then obviously you're paying the tobacco shop. And it's totally different from what you expect. There's nothing 24 hours here. Everything closes. They have like clubs and things that are open, but there's nowhere to like go get food late at night. Everything closes down no later than 10. So you really have to learn how to time your stuff out differently here. And then they all have what they call reposo, which is a break they take in the middle of the day. And it can be from like 2 to 4 hours pretty much, where it's like they take time and just spend with their families and eat, have their like main meal of the day and stuff like that. Totally different, but it's cool. Like I said, it's neat to get to experience like the culture that they have compared to what we do. There are a lot of things you miss though. Food and, like I said, like Walmarts. For as much as we hate Walmart, a lot of times like we'll talk shit about Walmart as Americans. It really sucks like getting over here when there's nothing for you to do when it's late at night. Like, you can't go get food, you can't shop, you can't do anything when it gets too late. So it just kind of, you're out of luck if you, like, I work nights. So when that happens, I mean, what do you do? You're just out of luck if you don't have groceries or what. So yeah, you really have to plan. Like, you really have to know what's going on when they're open, what days and things like that. You know, it's not just go and do whatever whenever. You have to plan your day around what they're going to be doing. So yeah, this is, oh, I'm sorry, I kept calling it Orion, but it's an Olsen Performance. I'm really hoping that this taillight will work. It's not a wiring issue, it is that relay, which is what I was talking about the last video. This relay here is being replaced. I'm really hoping that that's the only issue. Other than that, I mean, I haven't really done any performance mods to it. I haven't needed to. I bought a 600 for that purpose of, I didn't need a crazy amount of power, but I don't know. I just wanted to do another video, kind of discuss some things. I know last time I was in here I said Joe was talking about his dad had some way of using peanut butter to get stickers off, like a blow dryer, and I didn't know what it was. Just for clarification, Joe's another guy I work with. He's also from Michigan, but he's actually from the UP. So it's kind of cool, you know, getting to work with somebody from Michigan in another country that I didn't expect to run into anybody really from Michigan. There's a lot of times that you just don't run into people from your state. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. I didn't really show off the Z too much last time, but I'll pop the hood here and show you guys some of the stuff that I did in here. I said everything except for this, and the previous owner installed in-dash DVD player. But so yeah, I got the engine intake there, full intake. I ran it down. The piping runs from the throttle body there all the way down in front of the radiator. Some people do the short ram air intake and then they just put the little hole in there. I just said I'll run the full thing. They gave me a full kit for it, so why not? Done some dress up stuff on here, nothing major. Yeah, the plenum here, this is what I was talking about, that this bar fits specifically in there, the strut bar, and the square or the rectangular one sat up higher, like farther back in the motor, so it wouldn't seat in there. So I had to put the stock one back on there, which, I mean, it's heavy. Like, the stock bar is heavy compared to the one that I purchased. And so, but I wanted to put this Kinetics plenum on there because that helped gain power and with some weight reduction and everything. And it just kind of looked nicer than the old crappy metal one, like the metal in here. It's just kind of looks bad. That plenum definitely looks way better. I did order a new battery cover for that side.
because when I got the car, it just didn't have battery cover. I don't know if the previous owner lost it or the dealership did, whatever. But so I went and bought me a new one on Amazon. Previous owner also broke that. I purchased a couple new ones, and I'm going to paint them black instead of the chrome. I'm going to kind of change everything about this car. I'm going to put probably some black rims on here, and then the new headlights I found I liked are blacked out and everything. I really like the looks of like red and black. I know a lot of people have done that, but I really like it. Put the new taillights in here. Like I said, I got a new badge for the back as well. I've thought about actually taking the handles off and painting those black. I've seen some people do that, and I really like the looks of that. But for now, not bad. 2003, it was the Performance Edition. So it's got nice leather seats and heated seats and all that stuff in there, but it's definitely not perfect by any means. But it was a great place to start. Great car. I've got some friends that drive 350Zs. My one friend actually just put a Garrett turbo on his car and took a Turbonetics off, and I purchased that from him. So that will be installed probably when I get back to the States, just because there are no performance shops for doing tuning and things like that around here. There are other shops in Italy that could probably do it, but nothing close to me that is really worth taking my time to go and drive the car up there. But that's my video for today. There'll be more later. Hopefully I'll be able to get some video of me putting the bike back together, and hopefully it'll all run good. It's really killing me to just sit here and look at it. I hate seeing it sit like this rather than actually being able to, take it out and go for a ride and kind of show it off. Because, like I said, most Italians, they don't ride bikes like this. Occasionally you'll see one, but it's going to stand out. There actually is a law that you can get in trouble for too loud of an exhaust, so I'm kind of worried about that exhaust because it is loud. And the exhaust I'm going to be putting on my car will also be loud. So, and that's the thing is, my main purpose for buying this exhaust for my car is when you look at the back of a 350, it's pictured as a dual exhaust, but I didn't know until I purchased the car that it is actually not true dual exhaust. It is a single exhaust that runs up the left side, and it cuts off at the mufflers and turns into a dual exhaust. So I purchased a true dual exhaust running back from the Cats, and it just eliminates the Y pipe in the front, runs true dual all the way to the back. So I'm excited for that to come in, but it's going to be like another 3 weeks or so. So hopefully the parts for the bike will get here before then, and I'll be able to go and ride this thing around Italy and kind of show it off. Show you all a little bit more what Italy looks like not behind the windshield. All right, well, that's it for